Welcome into the RedHawk Hoops Report, episode 8, episode 9. I can't even keep track at this rate. Glenn Box is with us, head coach of the Miami women's basketball program. Luke Poley here as well. Coach, first off, happy birthday. I saw that
Thank
on
you.
Twitter. So
Thank you. Thank you. The big 5-0, man.
I heard you were 25.
I feel like it sometimes. I was told a friend told me he's like, yeah, your heart and mind says 50, but your Achilles says 25.
I think if you're 25, you could probably still play college basketball in 2025, right?
In my mind, I can't. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, you can't anymore for sure.
Well, obviously Saturday was a great day for both you and the men's team. First off, just talking about One Miami weekend a little bit. You guys had a big crowd there. I know you guys had some alumni in the building as well for your guys' game. Dave Meyer put out the note that that was the biggest win in terms of margin in the history of the Miami OU rivalry, which has, I believe, 102 meetings previously. So can you just talk a little bit about the day and having the alumni in and the fans in and kind of what that meant to you
Yeah,
guys?
I'll preface it all first by saying, obviously, every win is a big win, but Ohio, as I've learned, is our big rival here, and it's a big deal anytime we can beat them. My boss was in my office for the first time in 2 years before a game, so that lets me know that it's a big deal, and so it was good to beat them. It was good to beat them the way that we were able to beat them. We will see them again down the road, and we'll have to be ready for them. But obviously, to be able to do it in front of a great crowd, we had a lot of in attendance, and a lot of people saw us for the first time, which is always good, leaving a great first impression. Megan Belkey on our staff did a tremendous job of assembling, so many alums, many, many, many were here. And so we're very fortunate to be able to get them here, for them to come, give us their time, to show up the way they did means a lot to us. And, we're still building the program. And, one thing that I say to some of these, alums is, it's about community. It's all about, us being able to provide a product that they're proud of. And at the same time, we ask them to give to give them, for them to give back, in regards to, their time and effort, and they did, and we're so appreciative.
On the court in this game, things started off a little bit slow, I think, for both teams. But then one team started to score a little bit and the other didn't, I think was the story of the game. You guys only allowed 14 points in the first half. Uh, these relentless defensive efforts, we've seen a few of them this year that have really lasted for a full 40 minutes. What do you think of your team's defense on Saturday?
I thought our kids did a tremendous job. I thought Coach J.R. Shumate did an awesome job as far as putting together a good scout and getting us ready to go. Our kids were definitely ready to go, and we needed a good defensive outing because our last two outings were not very good. Both teams that we played were able to take advantage of our many miscues, and credit to them. And but as far as we're concerned, we didn't do enough to win. We made a lot of mistakes in both games. And, it's been uncharacteristic of us, throughout this year. We've been pretty solid defensively. And of all the teams, it's Ohio's probably the most difficult to game plan for and to prepare for, to believe it or not. And, our kids were locked in. They were locked in, and it showed.
You guys had a plus 18 advantage on the glass. I believe you had 6 or 7 players that had four more rebounds in the game. I know that's something that you guys have kind of preached this year in terms of the total, rebounding effort, even from your guards. Angelina had 6 boards.
Mhm.
But what can you say about what your team was able to do?
Well, obviously, Kent State just obliterated us on the glass. Toledo did the same. They beat us to a lot of loose balls, beat us to a lot of balls in the first half at Toledo. And so it was a point of emphasis, in previous practices leading into that game, that we had to be better in regards to not only just boxing out, but just simply our pursuit of the basketball. It was really poor in both of those games, and we just got pounded. They kicked our butts, and we needed to step up to the challenge. We knew that Ohio was going to hoist a lot of threes, and they were going to go to the basket. So it was going to, it was going to be some rebounds out there that needed to be had. Either we're chasing or we're rebounding in traffic. And we knew we needed to be an aggressor, certainly way more aggressive than we've been. And again, I thought our kids showed up in a big way.
Angelina had 23, Maya had 17 for you guys.
Mhm.
What can you just say about how that scoring tandem has kind of come along over the last month or so for you?
It's good to see. It's really good to see. It's good to see us in the open court play the way we were capable of playing. It's always a point of emphasis for us to play fast. Tamar does a good job of getting us downhill. Emily did a good job when she was out there, as far as forcing us to play faster, and so when they're able to play in space, they're a lot better, and their confidence builds over games, and they're certainly capable of scoring in the half court, but I just feel like when we're an up-tempo game, we can dictate a lot, and that's where their athleticism and their skill set shines the most.
I know Emily got banged up a little bit
Mhm.
in that game, but she was a player that had typically just kind of seen some spot minutes. She played a little bit more, in your non-D1 games in the non-conference, but putting her out for that many minutes that early in the game, what were you kind of looking for with that?
I was honestly looking for her to take us to another level. She'd been practicing well. She's just been having so many issues this year, from with her health and illness and things of that nature. She's been battling so many injuries that she's never really had a strong footing. Not even including the fact that, early in her, college career, she's dealing with just trying to be a college player, and fighting through some things. And so it's just been one of those tumultuous years in regards to having to try to get healthy. And then finally, again, every time I feel like we're ready to really you know, give her minutes and really kind of let her go, something happens. And, again, something happened against Ohio. And so she'd been practicing so well. And, she'd been looking so good. And I see her as really taking that next step. She was taking that next step. And so hopefully we can get her back, we can get her playing again and playing the way she's been playing.
As good as everything was on Saturday, I know the 22 turnovers are going to drive you crazy. In a game like that that was so up and down and there were so many possessions and it was so fast, how do you just make sure that your team is still taking care of the basketball and not rushing maybe their decisions a little bit?
You have some suggestions? Because I feel like I've tried a lot. I feel like our staff has tried a lot. We emphasize it. Trust me, it drives me crazy. But I also know my team is trying their very best, and I try to remind myself of that. Because most of it is like very seldom, really. Most of these turnovers are really like most of them are preventable. We put ourselves in harm's way a lot of times. Other times we just get negligent and sometimes just reckless. And so the prior game, the game we lost at Toledo, the sole reason we were still even in the game was because we were taking care of the ball. I think we only had like 11 in that game. And so if we can get back to that, uh, we cut our turnovers 4 or 5 turnovers a game. I mean, we could be scary, but we have to, we're talking about it a lot, but something's got to be done about it.
You guys have Eastern Michigan coming up on Wednesday. This is the first of two times you'll see the Eagles in a pretty short span. You're going to play them twice over the next 3 weeks. But just some of your overall thoughts as you've gone through the advanced scouting.
Yeah, yeah. So they obviously have a really, really good player, post player, and they have a couple kids that can really knock down shots. Their point guard is more than steady, more than capable, and so, they, obviously their win-loss record's not attractive, but their win was against Xavier. Well, we lost to Xavier, so we don't have, um, we don't as we see it, we don't have any room for error. We got to come out, we got to play them, we got to bring it, we got to go at this game as though we're playing, Kent, Ball State. It doesn't really matter. We got to attack it. We don't have a lot of room for slippage. We have to take advantage of our opportunities, and I believe our kids will. We'll be prepared. We'll be ready to go. I believe in our team. I think that they're capable of doing anything that they, set their hearts to, and so uh, we'll be ready for Easter.
Last thing before I let you go, what is that
Yeah.
over is that your right shoulder?
My left shoulder.
Your left shoulder? I
Oh,
can't
I
tell
didn't even
because it's
realize that
there.
was on there, man. Um, so my it's kind of odd. It's a painting, so it's pretty cool right here. And so what it is I have a friend, and he's awaiting a heart in in Jacksonville, Florida, and he's like my biggest fan, and he's a guy that that has stepped up when I needed somebody the most in my life, and now he's awaiting a heart, and he's just a really good dude. He's one of those few people in your lives, that are always there for you. And he's always been a very sports-minded person. And last year he took up a painting class. And since then, he's been painting. So his hospital room right now is like an art gallery, and he really cool paintings. And he said he prior to that class he could never even draw like a stick figure, and now he's like painting like
Yeah.
beautiful paintings. And I was in when we played in Florida. The reason actually that I wasn't on that Zoom was because I was driving back from seeing him. And because we drove up to Orlando to Jacksonville to see him, for Miami to Orlando to Jacksonville, and he gave me that. He gave me that painting. So
Very cool.
yeah, long story short, but thanks for letting me tell that tale.
Oh,
So
of course.
yeah, yeah.
Well, Miami's got two games coming up this week. Max Sunbelt Challenge also coming up this weekend. RedHawks will take on Eastern Michigan at home on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock start. We'll have coverage on Red Hawk Radio, Tim Bray on the Miami Radio Network as always, and on ESPN Plus. And then on Saturday afternoon, Miami will head down south to Lafayette to take on the Ragin' Cajuns from Louisiana, 3 o'clock start on ESPN Plus and the Miami Radio Network. Till next week, Coach. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you, man.